by, and we have two special guests, Dan and Lacy of Swing Nation. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So I was just telling them off air, guys, it cracked me up. And I told my neighbors this too, that I just got a TikTok a couple months ago and you guys kept coming up and swingers and all this stuff to swing. And I've never swung, you know,
Yeah.
I've definitely done some wild orgies with rock stars. I'm not a prude, but I've never done it. And it's like, it's suggesting it to me. I don't know why.
Wild orgies with rock stars is kind of swinging.
It sounds a lot like swinging. Yeah, that sounds a lot like swinging.
So you may be a swinger and you didn't know it.
I did, and that was like in my 20s, though. I will say. So I want to know, how did you guys meet, and when did you guys meet, and the story of you guys coming together?
So we were both in the lifestyle, but as singles. A lot of people don't realize that you can be a single person and be a swinger, but Dan was in my town working, and so he had changed his location to my city, and I just happened to stumble across his profile, and I messaged him, and I was like, hey, we're the same age, we're in the same city, how do we not know each other? And I literally was at his hotel room like a couple hours later. Wild and crazy. Like now in hindsight, I'm like, what was I thinking?
But we kind of
Totally. But we've been inseparable ever since. And we even lived like 500 miles apart. So we did a lot of our relationship long distance. But we just somehow made it work through all of that.
Wow. And so you guys had both been in the lifestyle. This is fascinating separately. I think that's great. No one had to kind of convince the other person to join it.
Correct.
No, we were dating people previously, and one of the lady that I was dating, her and her ex-husband were swingers, and she had brought it up in conversation to me, and she's like, "Is that something you'd be interested in?" And I just got out of a long-term monogamous relationship, and I was pretty much down to try whatever. So I had a few experiences with her. Our relationship didn't work for reasons that had nothing to do with swinging. But I was like, this swinging thing is actually kind of fun. So I just changed our profile. That was on one of the lifestyle dating apps, from a couple to a single male. Lacy had a single female profile on that same app. And when I was traveling for work, she messaged me. And at first I'm like, this is not a real person, because there's not too many beautiful single women on those websites. And so when I got messaged, I'm like, this is surely a dude trying to catfish me and get pictures of my penis. But then she showed up to my hotel room, and I was wrong. So
that, and yeah, you are drop dead gorgeous. That's for sure.
Oh, thank you.
The reels are so entertaining. They're on point. It's intriguing. And I love sister wives. I like shows where, you know, people are sharing people, but I could only do like the husbands. Like I want to have multiple husbands.
Yeah.
Is it called brother husbands? But where
I don't know.
They stay chained up.
I watched Sister Wives too last night. So I'm with you on that. But you know, I think like I wouldn't want someone in our household, like the thought of having like another female or even another husband, like in our house doing everyday life seems awful. That's why we're not polyamorous. We like emotionally we are monogamous, but sexually we engage with other people and we do it together. So we are 100% always together when we're doing this. Sometimes we hold hands, sometimes we high five, but it's definitely like a partnership it's fun together for us. I love seeing him like have fun and enjoy himself, and I love watching him do those things that I love that he does to me to other girls. I'm like, I know how that feels. High five, it feels awesome. So I think that's probably like a huge misconception, is like 100% our relationship is our relationship. We just open it up sexually to other couples.
I really like when you said the term emotionally monogamous.
Mm-hmm.
So, because honestly, I think emotionally cheating is worse. And I've gotten flack for that in the past. To me, I'm such an emotional, passionate, artsy person that if you shared your day ongoing with someone else secretly for a long time, or even said I love you to someone, that would probably hurt me more than someone saying I physically cheated at a bar drunk one night.
To be honest with you, I totally agree with that. I mean, they both would hurt, but like I would really be sad to know that he was like texting someone on the side and telling him all about the things from his day. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's your best friend. You know, I just feel like the emotional intimacy sometimes can be deeper or mean more to me than just physical. So, okay, what are boundaries for you guys? This is fascinating. What are boundaries that you guys have in place to kind of keep this safe or an agreement?
Yeah, so Lacy kind of touched on some of it. So we're known as a same room full swap couple, meaning we do basically everything together as long as we're in the same room. Sometimes if it's, we've rented Airbnbs with close friends and stuff like that. And sometimes those rules can kind of change to the same roof instead of same room if we're around a bunch of friends that we've known and we trust. But then we always use protection. So we're always using condoms and things like that. We usually, before we engage, or especially with new couples, we'll have the conversation about STIs and STDs. Sometimes we'll even swap, test results and things like that. But we always play safe with condoms. And then some of the other stuff is a group text. So like if we're talking to another couple or trying to set something up or just flirting back and forth, we like to do that all in group messaging. That way there's no real questions about what's being said or who's saying what. It's all up and in front of everybody. That's basically it, right?
Yeah.
I love that. That's really a safe way to make sure nobody is going behind someone's back or you feel included in the interaction when they're together. But I couldn't do this lifestyle. I can't come with condoms. It's just not my jam.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird I didn't like you stop and you put something between you. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. Honestly, a lot of guys in the lifestyle don't come. They don't finish. Like Dan, and that's probably condoms is probably like Viagra, people watching everything. So a lot of times, like we will fucking have a lot of fun, but at the end of the night, we'll go back to our room and then I'll make him come. That's obviously different.
Hot. Like he got foreplay and then you finish it though.
Yeah. So I mean, I totally get that. But like that's not.
It's interesting though. I don't know if I've ever heard a female say that she can't come when the male's wearing a condom. That's interesting.
I am a weirdo. I swear I'm a man that got trapped in a woman's body. I don't know. I smoke cigars. There's something wrong with me.
But like I come pretty easy, so I'm very fortunate. So I can come multiple times throughout like a play session. But there are girls that may not come, or like it takes a lot of work to get them to come one time, and so. You definitely see a little bit of everything.
You know what's strange to me, and I can come easily. It's just the condom thing with sex. But have you guys had this when you're younger, you could come easily. And then as I've gotten older, I kind of need more of a mental connection or some kind of mental stimulation. I need to find this person more fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I can come pretty easy.
You just get touched and you're like, I'm there. I'm done.
No, but if I'm not feeling the guy, or if we're mad at each other, or anything, if I'm off from the day, it will totally affect me coming for sure.
But you don't need to kind of have any kind of mental stimulation. Like, I mean, I want to talk current events. Recently, I matched with a guy. I thought he was really hot. The sex was great. But when we talked sober on the following date, he was a little bit of a box of rocks. He didn't know what was going on in the world. And I couldn't. Like, it turned me off. I was done.
It depends. Like, if I see somebody from across the room and they're super hot and they're 100% my, like, cup of tea, they don't have to say anything.
Shut up, don't talk.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
But then there's times where I see somebody that maybe originally I wasn't like physically super attracted to them, but then I like get to know them. They're like a lot of fun. They make me laugh. I can totally be into them and totally down to have sex and come and be super happy. So I think a little bit of both probably would be ideal.
Yeah. I think I have to be in the right mental headspace and that's why I think I have difficulty sometimes, because sometimes when we're, having orgies and stuff, they're like, there's a bunch of people in the room, there's a bunch of stuff going on and there's distractions. Like it can be hard for me. So like she said, a lot of times I don't come until we go back to the room together. But for her, it's definitely easier. She usually is coming a bunch of times in a play session.
I can from like oral, like I don't need to have any feelings from you. If it's oral or just fingering, that's easy. But sex, now that I'm older, I need to really be emotionally into you or connect with you. And I don't need to find them attractive. Sometimes, like you said too, just I can have a vibe. I just think they're so smart or their music talent is off the charts. And I'm like, oh, I'm there.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, different people have play styles in the lifestyle. Some people really want to connect on like a personal level. So there's a lot of lead up before you actually have sex. You get to know each other, you flirt, you share pictures. Then there's also people in the lifestyle that can go to a club, meet somebody and take them back to the playroom within 30 minutes, an hour. So there's a lot of different play styles. And honestly, you can kind of do some of them, all of them, one. It just kind of depends on the couple.
Yeah. I'm so open. This is what fascinates me to having all these group activities or being single for a while now and dating lots of people. But once I really love someone and I'm fallen in love, I do not want to share my toy. That's my toy that I want to keep locked up for me. How are you guys you don't get jealous? You don't?
Well, to go back to the like falling in love, that's kind of how we were. We were falling in love and actively swinging at the same time. And I personally struggled with it. I'm not going to lie. Maybe that's the female in me. I don't know. He was totally fine. He's like, yeah, I love you, but let's fuck other people. Me, it was hard. Like, I didn't have eyes for anybody else. I wasn't interested in anyone else. I just wanted him. And so like, we kind of had to like come to agreement. Okay, we're going to like maybe stop swinging or take a little break for a couple, it was like 45 days, 60 days, because it was during the holidays. And we just kind of really focused on our relationship and what was important to us. And that's when we established like clear boundaries, because before that, we didn't have clear boundaries. And then once we kind of went back into the lifestyle, I think we had a better handle, or at least I did, of my emotions and what was okay and what was not okay. And that really helped me. When you just go in like willy-nilly, no plan, no boundaries, no nothing, that's when a lot of those feelings kind of come up that you were describing. And then the jealousy, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think we get asked about jealousy all the time. It's it's something everybody wants to know about. And I think there's this idea that swingers just don't get jealous, or to be a swinger that's something that you can't do. But in reality, jealousy is just an emotion, right? So similar to like anger, right? People don't want to get angry. They don't want to be mad. But if you ever said like, don't get angry, that's not a realistic expectation, I don't think. And it's very similar for jealousy. Weird things make you jealous in the lifestyle. Lacy's got jealous at when I've like brushed a girl's hair out of her eyes before. That's something that can trigger her.
Intimate.
When you're dealing with this non-monogamy thing and you're engaging with other people, you really don't know what everybody's triggers are going to be. And sometimes you just trip one of those triggers unwillingly and not on purpose. And a jealousy can arise. And so what we always say is when that happens, just like anger, you just have to have like coping mechanisms and ways to deal with that jealousy to get through it without it being a overly emotional event, right? Without it causing a divorce or a fight or people freaking out. There's ways to communicate, hey, that thing you did made me uncomfortable or made me feel jealous, without necessarily yelling and screaming and freaking out. And that's really what we've tried to do is, hey, if something makes you uncomfortable, just say something, like speak up, use your voice, tell me, and then we can communicate through that, and then we can make adjustments if we need to. A lot of times it's just talking about it. It's just, hey, just that made me jealous. It's like, oh, why'd that make you jealous? Oh, it made me jealous because of this. Oh, I understand that. I'll either try to avoid that in the future, or, hey, that's really kind of silly. We've even done things like, she's like, hey, the way you kissed that girl was way too like passionate. And then like we make content, we're on OnlyFans. And so like I've pulled up videos before and be like, look at you kissing this dude. Doesn't that look passionate? She's like, you're right, it does.
You're right.
I'm just being silly. And so we've like worked through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is communication is key. That is the secret to any healthy relationship. I love the divorce attorney, James Sexton. I don't know if you guys have ever come across him. He has a lot of great advice, but the number one is he wants to save you from divorce. That's what his latest book's about. And having sex often and treating each other right inside and outside of the bedroom. That's why I don't knock swingers, because if it works for you guys and you have a healthy sex life and you can communicate, I think sex is what actually breaks up the majority of adults from marriages and relationships, because someone's not getting their sexual needs met. They go outside of it and they don't just talk to their partner and say, this is what I need. And it could be solved. I feel like a lot of relationships could be solved, or if finding out that your sex drive matches your partner too. I think that's a huge one, that if someone doesn't align with it, you're not going to be able to stay, no matter what other areas are being fulfilled.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people judge us for being swingers and stuff like that. I think, but the truth is, if most people look internally about what their fantasies and desires are, I think it's threesomes is like the number one fantasy of like Americans and like, and it's something ridiculous. Like 80% of people say that they'd like to have a threesome at some point. So basically what me and Lacy have done is just been honest with what our fantasies are with each other. and then look for respectful ways to engage in those fantasies to where both of our emotional needs are met, and we do it in a safe manner. And we can explore threesomes, we can explore group sex, we can explore gangbangs. I mean, you name the fantasy. Me and Lacy have probably talked about it, and we've probably tried it once or twice. And some things were like, that's amazing, let's do it again. There's been some things where like, you know what, that wasn't for me. But really, it's just being very, very honest with your partner about what your fantasies and desires are, and finding a way to explore those things together.
But it is hard to be honest, especially if you've been married to somebody for 20 years and you did things the way that like society tells you. Mm-hmm. You're taught that those things are bad. You don't talk about those. You keep those inside. So I do recognize that if you've been in like a long-term marriage, now deciding, oh, let's just talk about everything is hard, and it probably takes a lot of commitment from both parties to be okay. Because sometimes, even though you're saying your own things, you got to be willing to hear the others, and sometimes that can be hard. I think for Dan and I, we were very fortunate that we met in a situation where we were both very open, and we never really had like any intentions on being married. So we were open from the moment. Like I would go and fuck a couple and come home and be like, oh my God, guess what I just did? And he's like, yeah, I did this. And so like unintentionally, we started out this way, and I'm super grateful for that. So we just never really had to hide anything. And it's worked well for us.
That's interesting that you said most people want to try a threesome, and I think that's correct. And so I went from Hollywood for several years to now I'm in a boring suburb in Northern California, and all of the dads wish they had a threesome, right? They're married, they're miserable, they come have a beer in the garage with me, and they wish that they experimented more. I have like the opposite going on, where my entire 20s was absolutely insane on tour buses. I experimented with everything. And now, what's something I haven't done a lot that I really want to do is monogamous, boring, missionary sex with one person. Like that's like where I'm at. Like I'm like, man, I would love to just commit and stay married and fully do that. So I'm like the opposite of what most people want to fantasize about. I'm like, I want a boring in bed early. One person. I don't know. So wait,
I'm
you guys
curious, like,
oh yeah,
how many years of that would it take for you to really be bored? Like you say you want that,
right.
In long term, you would probably get a little bored.
You're right, because I have had my old hairdresser said that, and because I bought my first house in a really small town, and she goes, Steph, you're not going to last here long. You're not going to go from Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard to this population 7,000 town and be happy. And she was right. In a year and a half, I needed to move to a larger city and have art and music and entertainment. But I think once you do have a wilder lifestyle, but also you learn your kinks, you learn your body. And I just need someone open-minded that can share in those kinks that I enjoy with. I mean, it's hard to find. I'm a weirdo. And so I'm trying to find someone that's a weirdo too. But
good for you for realizing that's what you need and looking for it.
Definitely. So wait, you mentioned you're on OnlyFans. Okay, so tell me about OnlyFans, when you guys got started, and do you guys just create content together or with other people?
So we started during COVID, like when everybody else did. Really, we had no intentions of like making money. I mean, like maybe I could go get my nails done, but it was never going to be like our full-time jobs or anything like that. And it became pretty successful pretty quickly because the internet loves swingers and thinks it's hot and wants to watch that. And we never really had boundaries when we went into it. We just didn't know what we were doing. And next thing you know, we're fucking couples on camera and selling it on OnlyFans. So really it's, and I was thinking about this. It's funny you asked, or you brought that up. I was thinking about this yesterday. I can think of 2, maybe 3 couples that we fucked on camera that we haven't ever fucked off camera. I would say 99% of the couples that we make content with, we have sex with in swinger clubs or at house parties or wherever. Like, but then the chemistry is awesome. And we're like, this worked out. This is great. Do you want to do it again on another day that we plan and film it and then sell it? And that's typically how that works out. There have been a few occasions where we've connected with somebody online and we're like, hey, you're going to be in this city. We're going to be there. Can we do this? But that's few and far between. It's basically like our real life. It's just cameras up and we fuck and then people get to watch it.
That's cool. Do you have a favorite swinger story? And is it you guys both have the same one or one that's different individually?
Like favorite is in good,
it's like the best. You're like, that night was on fire.
Well, we went to Hito, but I think for me, we went to Hito, which is a swingers resort in Jamaica. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. And
I don't know anything about the swinger lifestyle, to be honest. Like I said, I'm a weirdo. I'm a freak.
It's an all-inclusive resort in Jamaica, and literally there's some parts you have to be naked to kind of make it an even playing field, but there's other parts that you can choose to be naked or not. And it's basically like a free-for-all. You can fuck anywhere, you can do anything, alcohol is included, everything. So it's pretty wild.
Where do I sign up?
No, it's awesome.
We're going next July.
Even if you don't want to sleep with anybody, like a lot of people will go, not a lot, but some people will go just for the openness, for like to be able to walk around naked. They might only sleep with their partner, and that's totally fine. But it's just a lot of fun to just be around all that sexiness. But there was just like one day in the pool where we partied all day in the pool. We got completely shit-faced, completely lost track of time. We were fucking in the DJ booth.
Hell yeah.
Like leg up on the table. And then like that night we fucked like several couples in like the playroom. It was just like a super hot, like I can remember like walking back to our room and being like, best night ever.
Yeah. It's hard to pick one. I mean, we've had sex on the top deck of cruise ships, on swinger cruise ships. We've had sex on catamarans, in the middle of the ocean. We've had sex on beaches and in caves, and we've had sex a lot of places, and lots of times it's group sex and with other people and things like that. So to pick out like maybe just one moment that was awesome,
that would be pretty hard.
There's been a lot of awesome moments, and I think that's what we love about this lifestyle is me and Lacy are constantly looking for, exploring new things and with new people, and it just keeps it real interesting and exciting. And it's like, you never know what's going to happen next. And you go to some of these places and you just go like, I'm about to get on a cruise ship with 5,000 swingers and cruise around the Bahamas for a week. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be fucking fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds fun. I'm intrigued. I will watch the TikToks, but I don't know if I'm ready to show up. I'm a cougar, so I'm looking for my young cub to like.
Yeah.
You don't look that cougar age.
Oh my God.
Quite yet, but it's hard to tell on the little screen on the computer. But if you are a cougar and that's your thing, there are plenty of people that would definitely support that also. But yeah, I think you're saying you're a little leery, and I think a lot of people are. And
I'm like I'm on the fence. I know I would have fun. I'm very outgoing.
For sure.
I would have fun, but do I actually? You know what scares me? To be honest, that I like it too much. And I don't know how to go back to monogamy because I'm already having a hard time training myself to fit in the suburbs there. So I think I'm scared that I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, that's a weird, like, I'm afraid I might like something too much. You know what I mean? Like
But I will say,
and I don't want to like it too much because society says I'm not supposed to.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are like you. They know that this would be fun. Even if they didn't like have sex with anybody, they know it'd be fun. They know it'd have a great time. And I guess like if I could tell people one thing is you are not required to swing if you go to a swinger party, a house party, a resort, wherever. You're not required. And if they try to make you're in the wrong place. You need to leave. But it's 100% you can go and you can watch people and you can just kind of like take it all in, or you and your partner could just like have sex in a playroom around other people. No one's going to touch you. No one's going to do anything without consent. There is a lot of fun to be had in the lifestyle without fully swapping with a couple. And I think a lot of people feel like you just have to do that. Like you have to go in and you got to fuck somebody and just be done. We've had friends that have been around us and been in the lifestyle for a year before they fully swapped, had penetration sex with someone else. There's so many like fun things from point A to point B, like that you can enjoy.
Right. I would even say take your time, like enjoy that journey. You know what I mean? Like take your time, baby steps and enjoy it every step of the way. And if at some point you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is as far as I want to go. I don't want to go any further. That's okay too. I think there's no real rules here. There's no requirements. I do think the stigma around swinger events and swinger clubs is that you walk through the door and it's a big free for all orgy. And it can be that if you want it to be, but it's also swingers are very, cognizant of consent. A lot of them will ask before they touch. I think you are more likely to be groped in a club in any major city than you are in any swingers club in any major city. Because when you go into these sex-filled environments, they're very, very cognizant about consent and touching and asking, and people that don't respect those things will not. I mean, most of these clubs are member only clubs where you have to fill out an application and stuff to get in. And if somebody starts creating problems, the owners there are just not going to deal with that. And they're going to kick them out and they'll never come back. So it definitely is a safe place to go and explore your fantasies. And that's kind of why we love these places.
I think safety wouldn't be an issue for me. The more you're communicating with your partner in swinging, I think the safer you're going to be in that environment in general. So yeah, I would never feel unsafe. And I've been to clubs in Hollywood like Bar Sinister and Voyeur, which are, I'd say, unofficial. There's girls naked in glass boxes and chained up on stage. And, it was anything could go in the corner situation. And I like voyeurism. I like me and my partner hooking up and people could see. That's something that I've done a lot and I'm interested in, because I just don't want anyone to touch my partner. I'm like, no touch phone kind of thing. But I don't know.
You can totally do that. There are couples that do that just go and let people watch or watch other people. And before people might approach you and say, may I, touch him? May I do this? And you say, no, thank you. We're just here to watch. And that is perfectly acceptable. And I would say, if you are in one of the situations, just communicate to the people around you. Like when you say, yeah, just touch, like you can just touch his leg, and then she touches a little more, and then I would just be upfront and honest from the moment you walk in.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for seriously enlightening me and teaching me all about swingers and the Swing Nation. Can you give us more information about how to find your podcast?
Yeah. So if you want to, follow us on TikTok or Instagram or listen to the podcast or YouTube, we have different communities on Discord and Facebook groups and all that stuff. All of our links to all those things can be found at theswingnation.info, theswingnation.info.
Thank you guys so much for swinging by Stefs Rock Show. And I'll keep up to date with your madness. It's really exciting.
Yes. Let us know if you want to come.
Yeah.
Okay, I will. Maybe I'll get the balls in like a year.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.